Yesterday, we went fishing and we did a couple reviews. Well, come to find out, my camera skills stink and then we ran out of power. We did record the video, but we did it with the GoPro, and it records backwards in sound, not forwards in sound. I don't know. The microphone was on the wrong side. I don't know, but we kind of messed up. So, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to try narrating the videos separately from the audio that we put on it, and we'll see how that goes. And nonetheless, we both liked our gear. The Pro Qualifier 2 rod that I had, incredible. You could barely feel the weight of the rod while I was casting, and the action on the tip was fantastic. Anyway, it was a really windy day, and with my Fold Cat, which is a pontoon boat, we were kind of fighting the wind all day. We were having 1 foot caps on the lake yesterday. We got out there before they closed the lake, and you can imagine it was tumultuous up on the lake. We didn't catch nothing, but we were able to do these reviews, and hopefully you'll enjoy them. So let's look at them and see if I can narrate it and help you follow along what we were saying. All right, we're going to try to do this this way. All right, so I'm reviewing the Bass Pro Shop Pro Qualifier 2 7-foot medium fast action rod. And as you see me sort of toying with it right there, you'll see that I'm bragging about its very fast action tip. I barely feel it. Underneath the seat, I'm showing you that it has a fully exposed blank, and so that you're able, while you're holding the rod, feel everything that the rod's feeling on the line. And that's that's really nice, because you've got more blank exposed under your hand than you do with the average rod. When I'm casting, can't even feel the weight of this rod. It is super light. It was really just like holding just my reel out there. And because it's a fast action tip, I was able to whip and get some really good, very accurate casts out in the water. So you can see me sort of showing you how, I actually just casted it. So you didn't get that, but it would have been nice if I caught a fish. I'm using a 6-inch swim bait from 6 cents right there, and I'm using the Kastking Sparticus Plus reel. It is a 6.1 to 1 gear ratio. It's got 11+1 bearings, and the bearings are double sealed, so they are saltwater rated as well. So the bearings cause it to go very smooth. And I'm pitching it out again. Again, you can see that tip sway. And as I pitch out there, I just do it with a simple wrist action, and I'm able to get the bait out there. Now normally, my wrist is really sore after a day of fishing because I'm constantly casting. And today, my wrist is just fine. I have no soreness in my wrist. Did prick my finger a couple times on hooks, but other than that, the wrist is fine. I just did an overhand cast and it went sailing. The butt on the rod is rounded, so if you're going to set the hook real hard or get a good fight, you could push that right into your gut and it's not going to hurt you. It's nice and soft and padded. So again, an excellent way of designing it. And the handle's not too long. As I put it in my Scotty mounts, it's not hanging, the reel's not hanging another 6-8 inches out. But you can see there the trigger sits nicely above my pinky. Gives me a really good grip onto the pole, and the nut, on the seat there's no exposed threads. Now I'm showing you, I'm opening up the bait caster. I want to show you the centrifugal. That's your centrifugal adjustment, and you've got that on there. The centrifugal allows it to control all the way out to the apex, and then the magnets that I adjust on the outside will slow it down as the bait slows down. Adjust those two right. I've got the centrifugal on 3, and I adjust mostly everything on the magnetic brakes, and I'm able to do anything. I only had one backlash yesterday, and to be honest, I don't even know why I had that. But always use braided line. I use a 15-pound braid. I don't usually recommend monofilament on a bait caster. You get more backlash on them. So excellent. It's got I think an 18-pound drag on it, and yes, the drag dial does click. So always adjust your tension with the tension knob. All right, on to Russell's. Now Russell, he did a very good job at narration. It's a shame you can't hear it, but he's doing the Shimano Scimitar rod as well as the Lews reel, both about $100 for the setup, and he's used to a medium heavy. So this is his first time with a medium light or a medium fast action 7-foot rod, just like mine. And he had a hard time getting used to its lack of stiffness that the heavy has. But he was very impressed with the rod as well as the reel itself. He's not used to having cork, but he was getting used to the cork. He likes EVA better. As for the reel itself, very smooth. It only has magnetic braking, but he said it had about 4 settings between each one of the numbers. That's about 40 on it, and it's very, very sensitive in the way he was adjusting it. He forgot to readjust it back to normal, and he backlashed a few times after this little review. But Russell went ahead and had a good time with that rod and reel. In order to remove the side plate to get to your spindle or the spool, then you're going to have to unscrew it from one side, and it pops it out the other side. A little more cumbersome, and it's not as easy as just the little switch on the bottom of the Kastking. That's a 5+1 bearings. We're not sure if they're double sealed or not, so we weren't sure about that. But we're freshwater fishermen for the most part. We probably wouldn't take that particular one out onto salt water. But he was able to cast reliably with that particular rod. He used it most of the day in order to get a feel for it. The drag does not click, so he didn't care for that too much. But because when you're reeling, you can accidentally hit that, and you wouldn't know that you adjusted your own drag. So, but other than that, it was a real good reel. It runs $50. The Sparticus Plus runs about $40. So we kind of recommend the Kastking over the Lews, although a lot of people rather have a better name on their reel, and if you want to just have a Lews reel, then that's a good reel for the money. As for the Scimitar Shimano rod, it did cast very well for him, and Russell's not much of a side arm caster. He likes to overhead it, so I would recommend a medium fast action with those people that like more finesse fishing. That right there is an Osprey we saw, and Russell named him Kevin, and Kevin swooped down in front of us, and he caught a fish. So we saw him right there, although it's hard to see in the video, fly away with a fish in his talons. An Osprey is one of 3 different fish eagles in the world, and the other ones is the American bald eagle and the American eagle. So The Osprey is probably the most colorful out of the bunch. You know, with the white breast and brown feathers. It's just, he's actually very, very pretty. A lot of people know the bald eagle because of the American symbol, but the Osprey is very common in the area, and he's just beautiful. I'll put a picture of him in the video too, so you can see him up on his perch. So he's going ahead and he's talking about the fluidity and the fastness of this reel. This is a 7-to-1 gear ratio. The gear ratios on our Sparticus are 6-to-1. Now you don't want to go too fast on your gear ratio, because a lot of fishing you want to reel in your baits at a nice slower or medium pace. A lot of people want higher gear ratios for those big fighting fish that like to swim towards them. Any slack in the line, you lose your fish. So in this case, you would have to reel faster if the fish was swimming towards you. Well, that's no big deal. First you got to get the fish on your line. So going with a 6-to-1 gear ratio is actually easier to control your bait in the water. And he found that going to the 7-to-1, it was substantially faster, and he had a hard time getting used to its speed and retrieve. So, but once he got used to it, he was able to control it just fine. And I wouldn't recommend faster than 7-to-1 though, for anybody, unless, especially a beginner. I wouldn't recommend that. I would also recommend something with good braking systems. The Lews does 40 different settings on its magnets, and the Kastking has 2 different braking systems on it. So both very, very good.